Greetings, Msoul. Today I, Venus Callida, bring you a tale of prophecy, a mysterious fortune, a mountaintop, and one very confused Death Knight trying to understand a warning from the universe. During the Frostfire Gala at YetiCon 2026, high atop the Blue Mountains, I met a fortune teller, a proper adventurer, a mystical guide, and she gave me a message. She said, "Your journey ahead will be long, and be careful around the water." Now, at the time I thought, interesting. Perhaps this meant I should avoid swimming. I'd plunge. Perhaps my planned water quest for Sunday evening would need reconsideration. Perhaps the universe was simply telling me, Venus, maybe do not challenge the ocean after wearing armor all weekend. A wise warning. But then, Sunday morning arrived, and there it was, the water. Not a lake, not a river, not a dramatic fantasy battle. A giant water container at the hydration station. I was standing in a line waiting to go into the tea party, and, I happened to be right beside it. Apparently the universe has a sense of humor. Another adventurer was trying to fill their cup when everything went sideways. Like literally sideways. The container tipped over. The water cascaded, knocking over their Yeti mug. And this Death Knight activated an ancient survival technique. The graceful sidestep. A little second position. A little first position. Yes, my dancer friends out there understand. My armor survived, mostly. But the other adventurer was having a much harder moment. Because sometimes the hardest battles are not dragons. Sometimes they are the tiny disasters that happen when you're already tired. When you've traveled. When you're alone. When you put so much effort into being part of the adventure. I tried to offer kindness, a few words, a really weak joke that didn't land, an attempt to remind that accidents happen. It's okay. But sometimes when someone is overwhelmed, even kindness needs time to reach them. Later I saw them again, and I hoped they were doing better. And it reminded me, everyone at these gatherings is carrying something. Everyone has a quest. Everyone has moments where the armor feels heavier than expected, and then my own journey continued. I left the convention earlier than planned. I'd wanted to stay. There were more workshops, more adventurers, and more things I wanted to see. But sometimes the wisest choice is knowing when the quest is complete. And then I remembered the fortune teller had told me that I would have a long journey ahead. Now, when a fortune teller says something like that, a Death Knight naturally imagines adventure. I thought, interesting, a long journey. Perhaps I will travel to distant lands. Perhaps a new quest awaits. Because when we hear journey, we often imagine the grand adventures. New places, new horizons, the unknown. But perhaps the old seers understood something we forget. A prophecy is not always about what we expect. Sometimes the meaning reveals itself only after the journey begins. Because I did not imagine my regular road home becoming the quest. And getting home from YetiCon took much, much longer than expected. Traffic slowed. There were accidents. Emergency vehicles. Other adventurers having a much harder day than I was having. And suddenly I realized the long journey was not a vacation. It was the journey itself. And the water? Perhaps it was not a lake. Perhaps it was a person struggling to hold back tears. Perhaps a reminder to pay attention, to be compassionate, and to listen. To be careful and make wise choices. Because sometimes the greatest magic is not predicting the future. It's giving us a moment to pause, pay attention to our internal cues, honor our needs, and then choose our path. And I found myself grateful. Grateful to be safe, grateful to be headed home, grateful for the choices that got me there. And only later did I remember the fortune. A long journey. Accurate. The water? Well, perhaps the fortune teller was right. Perhaps the magic was not predicting one single event. Perhaps it was reminding me to pay attention, to listen, to make choices. Because the greatest adventurers are not the ones who ignore every warning. They are the ones who know when to change the plan. So to the fortune teller of the Blue Mountains at YetiCon 2026, thank you for your prophecy. Thank you for letting me share your wisdom with my fellow adventurers and for allowing me to take your photos to use here on stream. And perhaps others will seek you out to discover their own quests. Though I must warn everyone, if she tells you to be careful around water, maybe bring a towel or keep an extra pair of socks handy just in case. I'm Venus Callida. Be kind to yourself, Msoul. Don't forget to hydrate. And I'll see you in our next adventure. Bye.